This episode is brought to you by Mortgage Workflow Partners and the Mastering Encompass series, both for users as well as administrators. You can find out all the information about it over at masteringencompass.com. Also, if you'd like to check out what we're doing on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel using the @MasteringEncompass handle, and make sure you stay up to date on all the information, not just with podcasts, but also video content that we bring to you as often as possible. Now let's get on to the episode. Hey everybody, my name is Larry Bailey, and this is the community meeting, August 20th, 2024. Welcome to everybody who's joined. We meet every week at 4 p.m. So if you're watching this on replay, make sure on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. you get your butts over to mortgage.community. If you don't have an account, sign up. It's free. Everybody's welcome. Doesn't matter where you work, as long as you're coming here and trying to contribute. We've got our first chat, and Eric says hello. Eric, hello back to you. And Eric's showing everybody exactly how to use that chat feature. So thanks for showing us that, Eric, today. As you have any questions throughout this conversation, please either chat, or if you actually have something you want to walk through in person, whether it's on camera or on microphone, we can invite you as a speaker and you can come up and share with the world what your question is. Today's topic is winning with opportunities in Encompass, or winning with Encompass opportunities, whatever way you want to say it. Bottom line is opportunities are a real thing in Encompass Web. Good news is you don't actually have to use Encompass Web to use opportunities. A little bit of a twist there, so we're going to talk about that. Most importantly, again, we're going to talk a lot about how you're using Encompass. We're going to talk about some of the things that I learned at the Partner Advisory Board last week. We're going to talk about my experiences since then, both not only with ICE and with training and with Knowledge Coop and with YouTube. A lot going on. You guys have 28 minutes left, because I do try to keep these to 30 minutes or less. So who wants to hear about opportunities? Is anybody using opportunities yet? I know that there was somebody in a previous meeting that actually talked about using opportunities before. Brian's using them. Okay. I talked with somebody, I've been a new potential client out of California, and he's actually been using Encompass Web because he likes to work on his MacBook. And he literally calls me, he's like, hey, I've been using Encompass Web for the last couple of months. And it's great, but I don't know how to do these other things. I'm like, wait a second, for like your daily driver? He's like, yeah, what's the big deal? I'm like, that's cool. So Eric just set up opportunities with Optimal Blue. I'm going to get into that, Eric. Thanks for pointing that out. Bernard, dude, get on the bandwagon. We're going to go over all of that. And then Brian said we got it set up, but not rolled out. Cool. So let's go through what is opportunities. I'm going to go ahead and share screen because sharing is caring. And so let's go ahead and share this over here. The idea is when you look at opportunities in Encompass, if you go to the waffle, if you log into encompass.ice.com, if your company has you set up to actually get there with your persona, whatever you have, you're going to see a waffle, and up in the upper right, you'll see a bunch of icons. First of all regs is now integrated with Encompass Web. That was a 24.2 update. You also have over in here the ability to check your automation audit. I just found out some folks didn't know about that. So you can actually check to make sure your automations are actually working properly. So that's pretty cool. But what's really eye-catching here is opportunities. Now, if you go into admin, if you go into services, one of the first things you have to set up is your product and pricing. So if you're using EPPS, it's easy, it's right there. If you're using Optimal Blue, though, what's really important is you have to come over to product and pricing here, and you have to go and find Optimal Blue for opportunities. That's what you have to do. Now, I found out recently, unfortunately, that Poly does not have an option for opportunities, which I'll say like, boo, hopefully they're working on that. I don't know anybody else's abilities, I guess is the best way to say it. So check with whatever product and pricing engine you're using. Is anybody using somebody beside, LoanPass? Thanks, Sean. So LoanPass doesn't either. And it's going to be out there, right? So the goal is it's possible, obviously, but you have to understand that this is EPC land. And when it comes to getting onto EPC, you've got to have some decent resources to get this done. And the opportunities, no pun intended, are wide open for all vendors to get onto EPC. So if you're working with a vendor with a product and pricing engine and they're not aligned in here and they're not aligned with opportunities, definitely make your voice known. Maybe that's a reason to reconsider your product and pricing engine. Maybe not, but it's definitely a conversation. Something else that you have to do is go through the opportunity setup. And I'm not going to bore you with all that. Anytime that you're in Encompass WebGang, also, if you go over here and click this little question mark up in here and go to Encompass Help, it'll launch some pretty great resources. And you can see this is open, right? This is public. Now, these aren't published URLs, but they're public URLs, and you can get to them and share with them, and it'll walk you through the whole thing. So definitely, anytime you're in Encompass Web, do that. You've got to set up your eligibility letters and your email templates, even if they're just tests, right? And so when is in here, I just did this as a test. I'm going to talk about this eligibility letter in a moment, and then your email templates. The good and the bad is that there's one email template per item. So one email template for an eligibility letter going out, one email template for scenario comparison, same thing for the invitation to the borrower, and then same thing for the reminder for the borrower who hasn't completed their application. So that's in there. And one more thing I wanted to point out here in this waffle is prospects. So when we get into prospects, I think that actually might go to live prospects, which I don't want to do. But under prospects, if you have just Consumer Connect, your incomplete applications will be there in that spot. If you have Velocify, your Velocify will show up there also. And then soon to be will be Surefire. So check it out. Like, it's a new way for you to kind of have a reason to get into Encompass Web if if your folks want a different way to get there to the unfinished applications, or Velocify, or again, soon to be Surefire. Eric asks, do you have to set up the sender information in the settings to be able to, for opportunities, do you have to set up sender information in this? So when you come down into, when you say set up information or sender information, tell me more, Eric, tell me more. This will go out from the person sending. So I'm not quite sure what you mean by there, but certainly let me know. It's important to remember everything that comes out of Encompass on the web comes from no reply at mortgage-technology, something like that, at ice.com. I forget the exact domain. You have to forgive me on that. But it's not your company domain. If you wanted to address your company domain in those kinds of things, you come into workflow management, go to notification templates, and make sure that you're coming into sender information, which is right here, sender configuration. Sorry, the UI changed and I got all disoriented. So in here, and you can actually get your, and your IT teams actually will love you for this, because you no longer have to use SMTP. It doesn't actually travel through your direct Outlook. So you can have your email come out of here directly from that. So Eric asks, will we need to do this for opportunities? Not according to the user guide. So I don't know, Eric. It's a great question, and I will find out. I will find out and let you know. But when you come up in here, this is specifically for notifications, and that's where, if you get down into wherever the heck that thing is, sender configuration. So because it involves DNS, this is why IT teams love it, because it completely shuts down the openness of SMTP. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you haven't asked your IT team for an SMTP mailbox yet. Okay, let's get back on topic. Opportunities, that's what we're here for. Why do I love them so much? First of all, remember, 20 years I spent in retail sales, from 93 until 2011. Really, it's less than 20 years. I'm cheating, 18, 19 years. And one of the things that you deal with as a loan originator is the constant question of, what are the rates? Do I qualify? What kind of deal can I get? And so what ends up happening is since then, since, the last really 7, maybe 8 years, you had Salesforce first, right? And then you have other POSs coming on the market that are trying to be CRMs that are not really tied to your mortgage database, and you can't run credit from them. And what about current rates? You have all these things kind of cycling. And when I got my eyes on the opportunities, and this is going back to last year, I'm like, this is hot. Like this is fire right here. And the reason why it's fire to me is because, and I'll show you the end, and then I'll show you how I get there. So if I come into this Amy America opportunity, I can check all of the different eligibilities criteria that I've set up. Now, I've given you 3 USDAs, which is maybe nonsensical. Or maybe they wanted to pay different points and they wanted to see what the rate would be, and they wanted to see what the total PITI would be, right? There's no A in USDA, but if there was, it might be, you can maybe add that in there. So the idea is when you are using opportunities, you can actually update specific opportunities. And you see in this kebab, you can see where you can email this scenario, which goes back to those templates. You can issue an eligibility letter. Notice it doesn't say pre-qual or pre-approval. And that's because it's not meant to mean that. It's meant to be eligibility. You might not have even run a credit report yet. So the idea is when I'm talking to a borrower and we're just doing back of the napkin stuff, you can create this, and I'll show you how to do that. You can print this, you can email it. Personally, I like just reducing the scaling and take a screenshot and then paste that into an email if you really wanted to. Like maybe you don't like the way that this is set up, but you can do that. And then if you go into the details, you actually can spit out your APR, which is of course very important for compliance. You can spit out affordability and your cash to close and the property details, all this stuff. And when we come over and we check eligibility, again, this is all made up stuff, right? But you can come in and we can see what are the costs supposed to be? Are there any lender credits? Are there any seller credits? So how much is out of pocket really? And if we make any changes, we can update. If we want to update their income, where aren't we, gang? We're not in a loan file. So all of this data is completely independent of loan file. And I hope this is landing well. I don't know who's out there. We've got about 30-something folks on the call, so thank you very much for showing up today live. So the whole point of being here live is to ask questions. Please ask questions, put it in the chat, and let me know as you have questions. But the idea is even liabilities, I'm just taking a number, right? I haven't run the credit report. That's not what this is for. So when you go through, if you wanted to ever update the pricing, you could come over and what we can do is click edit the opportunity. So Eric asks, how does this compare with Mortgage Coach's total cost analysis? I don't know. I've never used that. So you tell me. I don't know what that is. I know Mortgage Coach, but I don't know that particular product. What I would say is that generally speaking, this is a way for you to document who you're talking to with some, again, back of the napkin stuff that we've talked about. And it's a way to place it in a recordable user interface that has the ability to come back to it and compare for what's possible. So as we come in here, CJ, yeah, keep watching. CJ, keep watching. CJ's question was, do we have the ability to extract data? You have the ability to push data from the opportunity into a loan file and from a loan file into an opportunity. I'll show you that. And so we can add or remove co-borrowers. We can update credit scores. We can come over to the property. We can define. Guys, I don't know if you're watching this, but if you're used to running product and pricing, these are all product and pricing screens, right? This is information that's on there. And then on here, we get to identify what products we want, their VA military status, as well as terms, property types, et cetera. And then potential rate target or price target. And when we click get pricing, this is where it's going to log into your PPE. It's going to grab whatever's current. It's going to present you. So imagine, I'm here on a 30 whatever inch screen, big whoop, but this is mobile. So one of the things that is really stand out about this, of course, is you're wherever you are and you're on the phone with somebody. or you're on your tablet, or you're on your whatever device, and you can get to something very quick to get your current pricing, provided that it's there. And then if you select different options, once you do that, you'll see down here it says add. And if I click add, it's going to add additional scenarios to that opportunity that are going to give you the current date and time here. If you ever want to get rid of something because it's old news, you can go ahead and delete it. It'll remove it. And now there's only 8 left. You're allowed to do up to 10 of these. So an easy way for me as a loan officer is, if I wanted to track this, I would just keep putting them off to the side so I can go back and say, listen, Johnny, Jane borrower, I know we've been talking now for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. And remember back when the deal was that? Well, now it's different. And you've got all these historical ways to kind of build in your opportunities to remind your borrowers of what things were or what things are. So, and you can sort them, by the way. You can put them in any particular order. You can run this. There's all kinds of ability to really customize the output. So the value is to do all of that, but now we can go directly into the loan file. So CJ, if I wanted to switch this and bring this information in, I can. Now, somebody asked me earlier that saw me do this in a demonstration, this quick qual for LO. This is something that I built, and it's just an illustration of card-based view. Again, as a reminder, with Encompass Web, you can create these custom flows, you can create these custom containers of information, et cetera, et cetera. So if I were to make any updates in here, I then have the ability to come over here and I can go open the opportunity. So if I were to come into the loan file and I were to make any updates and then go back and open the opportunity, it asks me, do you want to do this in view scenarios, update opportunity credit score from loan data? Because that was something that I changed. So CJ, does that answer your question? If not, let me know. Keep in mind that currently, right, this is like V1.x or maybe 2.1. I mean, it's very low on the iteration poll. This sucker is going to get more and more advanced as ICE puts more and more resources into developing Encompass Web. And the idea here is that when we come through, we need to give feedback to ICE. We need to let them know what we're trying to do and how to use it. Filter that up through your company, who will pass it on to the ICE Mortgage Technology team. So last week, I got to spend 2 days in New York Stock Exchange. If you didn't see my video of what happened, I'll give you a quick recap. We got to spend, there was about 6 companies that were there. I was there. And the reason why this is an important part of the conversation is because, truthfully, I've been using Encompass now for 20 years. Truthfully, the methodologies and the character and the culture that ICE Mortgage Technology has behind Encompass has never been better. And I say that not because I am such a fan of Encompass. I say that because their actions are matching their words, and the things that they're doing to invest are great. So we just got an update over this weekend, with 24.2. I already know it's on the plate for 24.3, and there's going to be more improvements. And one of the things that is really important for me to talk about as a community is making sure you understand what tools you can use for your business to gain successful ROI. It's not the platform per se. Okay, it's just use the tool. So whether you're leveraging Encompass Web or you're leveraging Encompass Desktop is not the point. What the point is that you've got the ability to come into Encompass and use the tools. So again, I'm going to be taking questions in chat if you have them. I do want to talk about a few things on here that are important to me. When you go through and you're doing these opportunities, one of the things that rides along with it historically is a pre-application fees worksheet. And if you are not using the pre-application fees worksheet and you would like an example, please shoot me a direct line. I'd be glad to share it with you, especially if you don't have one that gives you and your borrower a clean view where it removes excess lines if the itemization is blank on that fee line. Definitely want to make sure you've got a solid pre-application fees worksheet for that. If you don't have it, let me know. Also, if you create a new opportunity and you wanted to create a loan, I don't know if this is a good one or not. to do it. But when you go into a file, let me just go through this process. When you go through a file and you create the opportunity, you can actually create a new loan. Yeah, because I don't have stuff filled in. You can create a new loan directly from the opportunity, and that will bring you, once that loan is created, remember, you don't have to work in Encompass Web if you're not ready or you're not prepared to, or you don't want to. That loan number exists in your desktop. So Eric asks, did you say you can use this from Smart Client? Not yet. Not yet, I didn't. What I said, Eric, was that the perspective here is it doesn't matter if you're using desktop or web. What matters is that you're leveraging the tools that make it great for you. So December 7th is the proposed date. One of the things that ICE is working to deliver at the beginning of December is the ability to launch Encompass Web from desktop. Now, I don't know exactly what tools are going to be in there. I'm sure the list will be coming out soon enough. But that just kind of reinforces this idea of doesn't matter where you are. What matters is you get what you need to get it done. So I want to talk about new file from the opportunity. I also want to talk about the fact that you can get pricing on the go. So as a loan officer, especially if you're using like web-based PPEs, a lot of times you'll keep like a sandbox file in your PPE so you can quickly price from it. You can do the same thing here. The difference is I would keep, if it were me, I'd keep my borrowers on here, and I would just quickly know. That way, if I got a phone call from Larry, the borrower, I can quickly go into Larry's opportunity and go get current pricing for whatever Larry's asking for. Because again, you can hold up to 10 different opportunities for the same borrower. CJ asks, is that the transition from desktop to web? Okay, first of all, if you want to start using Encompass Web, you can. You don't have to leave desktop. And I also want to make sure, because I'm not really sure who hears what out there, but if you've been told or you've been hearing rumors or something like that, that Encompass Desktop is being shut down, that's just not true. It's really, really not true. If anything, Encompass Desktop is being propped up and being given more assets and more updates, because it's understood that you've been using Encompass Desktop for 20 years. There is no plan whatsoever to deprecate desktop and force you into something that you don't want. No, absolutely not. So CJ, if you wanted to start using web features and functions, you can. Like with 24.2, secondary registration just came into the web, is good. I did secondary desk for over 2 years, and your ability to hop in and out of files quickly is like you've never seen before. So if your secondary teams are looking for a reason to love Encompass again because they're tired of waiting for files to open and close, show them Encompass Web. Show them Encompass Web. So that brings me to another part. Loan officers, you're welcome, CJ. Loan officers get hit with the question of, after the loan is in process, well, what if we go a different direction? So when you're in a loan file, you can actually create an opportunity, which you can call a sandbox if you want, but you can create this opportunity from the loan file and work on it. Now, this is one that you have to use the web if you want to do that. And if you do that from the loan file on the web, the opportunity will automatically carry over all the loan data. So you don't have to retype it. Bill asks, can you show an opportunity with the pre-application fee worksheet fully filled out with fees? So a little bit of a tricky question. Hi, Bill. Good to see you. So when you have the pre-application fees worksheet, it's coming from Encompass. You're on Encompass. The challenge is, how do you make sure the pre-application fee worksheet is completely filled out? So you got two answers. You can create the opportunity, but if it doesn't have a loan file, you can't really print that. So you do have to make sure that you've got a loan file if you've got an opportunity, if you want to send out a loan file generated pre-application fees worksheet. So I don't know if that answers your question, Bill, but what I want to make sure it's really clear is when you're in the opportunity, you can't print things from the loan file because you're not in the loan file. But you can go into the loan file, print the pre-application fees worksheet, go back to your opportunity and send it out. It's a little bit disjointed because it's two different sides of Encompass, opportunities, loan file. But it does, if you're in that spot where you're trying to sell the loan, you've probably already run the credit, probably already ran AUS because it's pre-application. You want to make sure. And what I would say is if you want to create like an opportunity fees worksheet, I would do that, but I would have the fees pre-filled, right? Because you're not quoting, maybe you are quoting a price, but maybe you have a way to fill in points or credit for rate chosen or something. If you want, Bill, we can talk more about that. And then the last thing I wanted to really talk about is the fact that this does not require Encompass Desktop to be running, right? So I can run with these opportunities from anywhere, whether it be from my phone or tablet or MacBook or whatever, doesn't matter. And for me, getting to encompass.ice.com, it uses Ping ID for two-factor authentication natively. If you've got SSO turned on, it will automatically go into that for you. And again, not everybody's going to be used to dealing with Encompass Pipeline and working loans, but I will tell you that when I go into, that's not what I wanted to do, discard that one, I want to go into this one. So when I do go into this file, the reason why I created this quick qual set of this presentation, basically, yes, John, the web works with Duo. Yeah, 100%. I've got a client, they use it and we test it, so totally works perfectly fine. The reason why I do this is because I wanted to be able to quickly come in and run someone's credit. And then I wanted to quickly go over and check out their liabilities. And then I wanted to be able to quickly go over and look at the overall costs. So Bill, going back to you, I would go right from the opportunity into the loan file, and then I would go to I would print it if I wanted to send it directly email or that. Again, everybody's going to handle this a little bit differently, but you can generate that pre-qual application from here to print off for it to catch up with the opportunity. And then of course, if you want to go through the full application, if the borrower says, yeah, let's go for it, you've got all that here too. That's why I created this quick qual setup. Because I'm an old loan officer. Who knows? I might get back in. I still have my MLO license. Maybe we'll do something together, Bill. We'll get out there and we'll kill the market. But in the meantime, I hope this has been helpful. I wanted to really share with you what I found to be helpful with opportunities, and most importantly, make sure that you understand that this is at your fingertips now. And if you ever have any questions, of course, ask away on the community. If you're ever on YouTube, follow us using Mastering Encompass. We just hit our 15,000th subscriber, which is friggin' nuts. And, we have like 60,000. I mean, it's just crazy what's going on right now. And I'm happy to be part of it. Let's see. And Quick Qual is your widget you built, right? Yeah, it's actually not a widget. It's just a way, it's just a workflow. And so anybody who knows me, it's always workflow before tech. So yeah, it's just a workflow build with some customization. Nothing totally fancy, but it's fancy enough for me. CJ says, from our online portal, how can we extract data from the borrower's application to the system? I'm guessing when you say system, you mean Encompass, or do you mean opportunity, CJ? So if you've got a separate online portal and you want to go from your separate online portal to Encompass, reach out to me. I can, there's some simple tech, and I say simple because I don't build it, but there's simple technology that my company, Awesome Technologies Inc. builds, and we do those integrations all the time, if that's really what you mean. Craig says, thanks, Larry. I should do a better job. I learned about this stuff from you and not them. It's a team, Craig. Honestly, ICE is really doing a really good job of leveraging partners to get out there. ICE understands that partners, we work with you far more often than they do. So I feel you. I really do, Craig. I know what you mean. I get your point, but I also don't think it's fair that ICE does it all by themselves, because I just don't. I learned more about Excel from Miss Excel, or YouTube from other YouTubers. I never hear from these other companies, right? I never hear from Microsoft, or I never hear from Google about YouTube on the big stuff, right? Small stuff maybe, but this stuff in here I'm very passionate about, so that's why I talk about it. ICE says many, whereas partners need to be a few hundred. Well, a lot of folks that work at ICE are developers, right? So a lot of great people there. You know, I'm telling you, I'm going to be doing an interview with a senior leader of ICE next Friday. I'll announce more about it later, but it truly is. Remember, this is, you know, Ellie Mae didn't want me to train, right? There was a big thing about not letting me train people. ICE is exactly the opposite. They're like, please train people, please help. So I think there's a big paradigm shift, and that's a big culture shift I mentioned earlier. So having said all that, we're at the end of our half an hour. Always come to these events if you like. If you're watching this on replay, thank you. If you're listening on podcast, go watch the video. It's way more fun. And you guys keep the questions coming and try out opportunities. Let me know what your feedback is. Post it in the community. Let's get to it, yeah? Let's go out there and make it happen. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy, and get ready for fall. It's here. We'll see you. Bye-bye.